Entertaining, informative, and educational. Inspiring content that makes a difference.
This is the Maximus Troy Publications Broadcasting Network.
Join the Academy. Mother's Day is coming, and for all you amazing moms out there, this one's for you. For a limited time only, we are offering the Breeders Academy membership for just $1. Yes, that's what I said, $1. Celebrate Mother's Day with the gift that keeps on giving. Become part of the most elite community of breeders and take your poultry knowledge to the next level. Here's the deal. Only $1 for the first month, then just $49.95 the month after. But this is what you're going to get as a member. The Founders Program, our signature program to help you create, improve, and maintain your strain. Master's Class video series, high quality video instruction from top breeders and experts. Members Roundtable, join discussions and gain insights from fellow passionate breeders. Bred to Perfection Live archives, access to all past episodes, plus exclusive content just for our members. Complete audio library. Enjoy all podcast episodes in convenient audio format. Exclusive member resources, daily articles, tools, and inside tips. Unlimited coaching calls, one-on-one support whenever you need it. Programs and courses and daily articles. Learn from the best in the industry. Kenny Troiano, master breeder and founder of the Breeders Academy. Brian Reeder, poultry genetics and breeding specialist. Peter Brown, poultry health and disease expert. Tony Seville, master breeder. And Dr. Gallardo, our poultry veterinarian from UC Davis. Some of the topics that you're going to learn are poultry genetics and epigenetics, evolutionary biology and selective breeding, creating and improving your own strain, breeding programs and techniques, poultry husbandry, form and function, understanding breed standards, healthcare and disease prevention, medication-free management, incubation and chick care, poultry nutrition, and improving performance and disease resistance are just a few of the things that you will learn inside the Breeders Academy. Make this Mother's Day one to remember. Empower yourself with the knowledge and tools to build something truly special, your very own legacy in poultry breeding. Join now for just $1 and take the first step towards mastering the art of science of poultry breeding. In case you are wondering, The doors are open May 6th and they close on May 12th. So that gives you just 7 days to decide on whether you want to become part of the elite team of breeders. So mark it on your calendars, May 6th. To sign up, just go to www.breedersacademy.com. And I'll see you inside the Breeders Academy website.
Okay, welcome to another episode of Bred to Perfection. I'm Kenny Troiano, founder of the Breeders Academy, and I'm here with my wife Nancy and my co-host Frank Bradley. What's up, guys?
Raining.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that when we were listening to these things. I should have had that picture up where the ark, where you're building your ark and stuff.
Yeah. After this one, I here probably need it because this was a doozy. This one had me worried. I was late getting back here to the green room because my computer was in the building out back, and I couldn't even come from the house out here to where it was at. It was raining so hard, so I had to wait and let it kind of die down a little bit before I could even come out.
Yeah, I saw you sent me the videos. I went, oh crap, because this is the outline that Frank put together, and so I was like, well, shoot, if he doesn't show up, what am I going to do? But here we go.
It wasn't looking good. It wasn't looking good. I'm surprised I've still got internet after all that wind.
Yeah. And I need you after the show because you and me are going to schedule something for later. And it's one of the reasons why we're not going to have a roundtable today. Hopefully we'll do a roundtable next week. But Frank and I have some things to take care of right after this show. So we're not going to be able to do that. But, remember I told you that I had a light red pop out of my birds that I've been holding on to for a little while, and I'm thinking about making another light red family.
What did the light red come out of, though?
It came out of, honestly, what I think happened was I put a black pearl, a Maximus cock with, I'm sorry. One of the last Sangarel cocks I have with some of my Maximus hens that I wasn't planning to hatch anything out of. And the hen just started sitting, and I just kept saying, I'll do it. I'll take care of it tomorrow. I'll take care of it tomorrow. And then it got so far that I was like, okay, maybe I'll just give these chicks away. And then they popped out, and I got a few light reds out of it. So that's what they came out of.
Yeah. I've been there many times. And a lot of times it worked out. I'm glad I didn't, take care of, take the eggs away from them. So a lot of times those work out.
Yeah. So once they get so far, it's like, well, shoot, it's like I feel like I'm killing baby chicks. They get to a certain point of incubation. I said, okay, maybe I'll just give these away, and I just let them grow up, and actually got some really beautiful light reds out. Some of the best I've seen in a long time. But out of all the ones that hatched, some of them were partridge, some of them were wheaten. I got like 3 light red stags, and only one of them I felt like I could move forward with to create a strain with. And then the pullets, I think I had like 2 or 3 wheaten. No, I had 3 wheaten pullets. One was not that great right from the beginning. And then I just kept watching them, and I was holding on to one for a while, but her conformation just wasn't singing to me. Just wasn't looking that good. Okay, here's the funny part, and this is why I'm bringing this up, is I hatched some chicks from my black pearls. Black pearl cock, black pearl hen. 10 baby chick that were black and 1 little yellow one. And they're growing up. They're good size now. Wait till you see her. And it's a nice little wheaten hen. Pure wheaten, pure green leg. You would never know it came from the black pearls. Now, I'm not surprised because I used the Maximus line to create the black pearls. So I know that color's in there. It's a recessive trait that's been hiding in there, but I rarely ever see it pop up. Well, I got one, and so far she looks like a really beautiful little wheaten pullet. And I'm going to use her. Black pearl's not going to show up. It's a dominant trait that doesn't exist in her at all in any way. So she should be a good specimen for this light red family I'm thinking about creating.
Yeah, I got one as well. We was talking about it just past weekend. Remember?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I've got one out of that. And a buddy of mine was like, "Oh, I gotta have him. I want him so bad." He's a beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. But like you said, you never think by looking at him that he'd ever come from a black hen and a black cock. You never ever imagine that.
Yeah. But from the cock that I have, that was like, we call like weed hatches, that kind of thing. That's basically what they were. And I just held on to him. I just figured, okay, when I get a member over here to get some chickens, I'll see if he wants them, and I'll just give him, hand them over to him if he wants them. And they just kept growing and growing. I'm going, wow, these are starting to look pretty good. It's like this family I'm thinking about creating, which is Light Red Family, because I kind of gave up on them. It's like that gene shopping program that I put together. Yep. That's basically what I'm going to be doing. And it's so funny because they're going to have, not that the genes are there, but they did come from the black pearls. So if you want to say, you could actually say they came from the black pearls. So black pearl could be on the pedigree, but the genes for black wasn't there at all. So it's funny. I mean, if I want to, I could attach a name into it. I'm not much of a name game kind of guy, but I'm going to be able to use that gene shopping program for this particular family I'm thinking about creating. So I'm just going to see where it goes. Just something I'm going to play with.
Yeah, but it's like I was telling you, the guy that had these blacks before me and my buddy did, he had added blood to them. And what he'd added to them was a light red family, green-legged light red family. And that's, we always say the offspring will always tell you exactly what you want to know about the parents. Yep. And that's one of those situations right there. It tells you just what's in the gene pool.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't planning to hatch anything, but you know how it is. You just say, wait, I'll do it. Take care of it tomorrow. Because it wasn't an easy nest box to get to, actually. You've seen some of my brood pens are. I've got a couple that just aren't easy to get in and out of. So I procrastinate doing things with those two pens a lot of times. I just didn't bake the doors very well. And I'd have to go out there at night to deal with it. Otherwise, one way or another, they're going to get out. If I go in, they're going out. That's how those doors are made. So I always have to deal with those at night, and I just kept putting it off. And then the black pearl just gave me a gift from heaven to be that little weed and pull it. So it might turn out to be a really good thing. We'll see. If it doesn't pan out, it doesn't pan out. No big deal. But I feel like I got some good birds to work with to move forward with. Because I was kind of missing that light red color, and I just found the stag that's just one of the best I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it's hard to turn that. When the chance comes around, it's hard
to pass it up.
It's hard
to pass it up. Yeah,
it is.
I get it.
Yep, I do too. And like you said, light reds. There's not too many real nice families out there of light reds.
Well, I probably would not have even given him a chance if I didn't talk to Brian Reeder, because him and I talked about it. Because I kind of gave up on him because I felt like I went in the wrong direction and kind of pinned myself into a corner because they weren't producing the color I wanted, and no matter what I did, it wasn't getting there. And then they produced all yellow chicks, but all the yellow chicks ended up being still a partridge color, not a partridge color, but still a dark red color.
Yeah.
And he said I just didn't hatch enough chicks, and I didn't wait. I gave up on them too soon. That's what he said. So I said, okay, well, if that's the case, and now I've got these, let me see what I can do with them. That's kind of where I'm at. Yeah. But
well, I mean, time will tell. Either you'll go on with them, or there'll be a stopping point for you. But a lot of times those work out well. The way you come about it, I've been there, done that, and ended up with some really good birds because of it.
I will admit, though, and Frank will agree with me, 9 times out of 10, they usually don't work out.
Well,
so,
Yeah, but once you know that family, though,
I don't know. This is new to me.
Yeah,
this is like a cross. No, this is a cross.
It is a cross. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like it's in and inbreeding is what it is, because it came from my Sangarel, which is very close to my Maximus already, and I just added another Maximus to some Sangarel, which already had Maximus blood in them. So basically it was in and inbreeding. It wasn't actually a cross.
Yeah.
But it was outside the Maximus family.
Yeah. Yeah. But still somewhat of the bloodline existed between the two of them.
Well, they're basically it's a subline of the Sangarel line. That's basically what it is. So I'll probably continue it as a Sangarel line. and it'll probably replace the few that I have because I gave away most of them. I was going to get rid of all the Sangarel. But I got a really interesting surprise for the members. And it was something, it's something I thought about off and on as we've, for as long as we've had the Breeders' Academy. It was something I thought about. And I just kept saying, not right now, not right now. I've got enough to do. But one of my members had mentioned, why don't you have like this live show here? When it's on the Breeders' Academy, the one thing that the members don't need is all the promotional stuff. Okay. So I was talking to Nancy about it. What if we, as a thing for the members, it makes it even more appealing, is it all the live shows we do, we put them on the website like we normally do, but they'll be devoid of all the pre-show slides, all the promotional, all the advertisements. It'll jump right into the topic. So a lot of what we're doing right now will be completely cut out, and they'll have just the topic, and then they can listen to it. They don't have to skip forward or mess with it. So I think from now on, every show we do, I'm going to put on the website, but it'll be devoid of all the promotional ads and all that kind of stuff. And then I'll go back little at a time. Maybe every week I'll probably do about 3 or 4 of them until I get them all done. Eventually, everything on the website will be our shows, but without all the extras on it.
That'd be nice.
So, yeah. Because if I always thought that, well, they're getting the Masters Class videos and the Members Roundtable without any of the advertisements. I thought that was good enough. But no, I think I'm going to do that for the live show too. So if you're watching the live show on the front end, which is what you're doing now, you're going to have to put up with the ads and the promos and the pre-show slides. But if you want to go on the website, if you want to get rid of those things, go on the website and you won't have to deal with them. Right, Nance? She's muted.
She's muted.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're only going to get her so much. She's really fighting a cold. Last couple of days, she's been in bed out. So, yeah. So I was surprised. Yeah. I kind of pushed her to do the show with us today, at least part of it, because we've got a new promotion, something we've never done before, which is the Mother's Day special. We might have done things for Mother's Day before, but we've never done a $1 entry. Right? You want to say anything about that?
Yeah, actually, it's really exciting. And this starts on May 6th. I almost said March. On May 6th. This is May 6th, 2025, in case this show shows up 2 years from now. We are offering you a $1 to get inside the Breeders' Academy. Now, that's for the first month. After the first month, it will go up to $49.95. But you get that first month for only $1. Everybody can afford $1. And you can, like we've always said, you can cancel anytime. That's never a problem. But you're going to get to see what's inside the Breeders' Academy. And boy, when you get in there, you're going to be so amazed. And I've got to show you this. I thought it was just so cute. I so loved it.
What are you showing?
I am going to. So Sean says, "Hi, Miss Nancy. I joined the Breeders' Academy last night. I'm officially a member now. I wanted the 3 of you to know that I was serious, so I signed up before the 6th. So yeah, I'm really happy for Sean. He's going to get a lot out of the Breeders' Academy, and we love to have you there.
Yeah, just let you know, Sean, I saw your message, and I was still getting ready for the show. I do take the weekends off, but if I don't get to you tonight, I'll make sure I answer your message on Monday. He wanted to do a coaching call with you, Frank, on nutrition.
Great.
Okay.
Great. Yeah, I've got to schedule one with Justin too.
Okay.
So
yeah, sounds good.
We'll schedule you both up.
Yeah, but this, like she said, this is something we've never done before. This is a chance to check out what's in there and see if you want to be a member. And I'm banking on the fact that you're going to stay, because I think there's a lot of good information in there. I'm not worried. There was a time I was worried doing a deal like this, because I figured, oh, you just get what you want and leave. But Frank, there's so much information. They'll never absorb all of it in a
Everything
month.
in 30
No.
days. Yeah.
Yeah. That, you might go in and think that you're doing it that way, but it doesn't work that way. If you don't have all the other articles and the videos and you've just got the Founders Program, well, good luck using it, because the way Kenny's got it, it all has to go in a circle with everything by using it. So if you just got one, it really doesn't work unless you have the whole website. You got to have that whole website for it to actually work and be able to use it properly.
Yeah, it's just the Founders Program alone is a huge program.
Yeah.
It would take a lot of your time to absorb that and watch all the videos and see how it works. But it's like Frank said, all the information on the website, all the programs, courses, all the other videos that are on the website support that particular program. And I've seen it a handful of times where someone thought they went in there for a month or so and thought they absorbed the Founders Program enough and then left. Well, they didn't realize that to really fully understand the website, the program, you got to understand breeding. You got to understand the breeding process. There's more to it than that. And once you understand the process, then you understand the program, the Founders Program. And if you understand the Founders Program, then you understand how to use it and why you're doing things in the order that you're doing them. Because you can leave and go, okay, now why am I doing this? Or so if you don't fully understand it, then somebody could easily talk you out of it and say, oh, I don't do it like that. This is how I do it. And if you don't understand why their method's wrong and why the Founders Program's right, you could easily go down the wrong road, and you're not going to get the results you think you're going to get. So I'm banking on the fact that you're going to get in there and go, wow, look at all this information, and that you're going to stay for a while. I always tell people, plan on staying for 2 or 3 years. You don't need to be in there all day, all the time to learn, but to really understand the breeding process, to really understand how the Founders Program works and understand the different things that we teach in there, you kind of need to be in there for a while. We're adding so many videos all the time that there's just no way they're going to absorb it all in a month, So I'm not worried about it anymore.
Well, the way of understanding it is the difference between being successful or failing. And the more you understand it and know how to use it properly, the better success you're going to have by doing so. And it's going to be different for each person. But if you take the information that's inside that website and you use it as it's intended, you can do some wonderful stuff with it. I mean, amazing stuff with it, what you can do to your birds.
Yeah. Was she saying?
She's saying I'm a top fan of the Breeders Academy, the best and safe group for serious breeders to learn the correct way of breeding poultry.
Yeah,
absolutely right.
I appreciate that.
The Founders Program isn't done all in 1 year. It's a number of years doing the steps to get through the Founders Program.
Well, think of it like this. Now, let's say you have the fowl you need to do the Founders Program. You're good to go. It's going to take you between six minimum, most likely 9 or 10 years to do it the way it needs to be done. And you just got to ask yourself, am I a serious breeder? Do I want to create a true strain? But the thing is it's not like I start here and boom, at 10 years, I all of a sudden have a strain. It's not going to work like that. What's fun about it is you're going to see your birds progress as you go. And you're going to get to about 5, 6, 7 years. And you're going, wow, I've got the strain I always wanted. But what's funny is they're going to continually improve each generation after that, which is even better. So,
and if you go down the wrong path, they're going to let you know.
Yeah.
If you're doing something wrong, the Founders Program, the way it's written, if you run into a snag or a wall that you can't go, get over, there's always the path around that wall. Another thing that you can do to get out of that hump that you're in. So that's what makes it the ultimate breeding program, because you never get stuck. And if you do, there's ways around it.
Yeah. It's the best program I've ever seen. And I've examined every program that's popped up or that I've found, even in some of the Dead Man books, and all the ones that seem to be successful, or all the breeders I thought were successful breeders, use the majority of the Founders Program. What you see in the Founders Program is what they did. Now, they altered a few things here and there, but when I took all the best breeders and took out and then considered the common, what they did. What I can't talk all of a sudden. What was it? Common, I can't think all of a sudden. But
common denominator.
The common denominator, what they all did, then that's what laid out the Founders Program. I gave it a try. I started teaching it. I started seeing results. And then I created the Breeders' Academy after that. So I've been using this program for a long time. I've been teaching it for a long time. And it wasn't until the Breeders' Academy that I started, doing it the way we're doing it now. But there was only like a few things missing in the early days, like stage 2, and my members know what that is. I learned really quickly after I saw that some people were having issues with stage 3 going into it so quickly. And after talking to a couple of my members, they said, well, this is why they're having a problem. You need to do this first. And then when we started doing that, we saw huge results. When I introduced stage 2 into the mix, changed everything. But we always call it the secret, but there's 2 really main phases of the Founders Program that make all the difference. If your program doesn't have this, it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. So there's always that one main thing you got to be able to do. And if you don't do that, it's not going to work. So what's that, Nancy?
Okay.
Is she there?
Okay, so she says, never-ending material to study and satisfy my hunger for poultry breeding every day. I really enjoy the video and audio forms so I can play while I'm houseworking or farm working. So yeah, that's really something there to say.
Okay.
And guys, before we move on, I just wanted to let you all know that it opens on May 6th, but it is only open for 7 days. We close that deal on May 12th. So make sure you get in there in that week and make sure that you write it on your calendar or put it in your phone to so that you don't miss that week. I mean, we're so busy in our lives and it's so easy to have missed the deal. So don't let that happen.
Now, let me say this real quick, because I don't want to spend too much time on this. And the nice thing is for the members, this is all going to be cut out of the version that's going to be on the website. So that's good. That's why I don't care to spend a little more time on this. But yes, there's the Founders Program. There's another program on there it's on there, and I'm going to improve it here real soon, because I got a little more information from Brian Reeder, and I'm going to add it to it, and I'm going to go ahead and finish up the program, which is the gene shopping. So you'll have that as well, and then another program that we're working on that should be on there pretty soon, and Frank and I will probably do a master's class video on, is the improvement to reduction program, which is really important. Has a lot to do with the way genetic drift works, gene flow, that kind of thing. So those are the 3 major programs that you'll have to work with on this website. It's not just the Founders Program. You got the Founders Program, gene shopping, and improvement through reduction. But like we said, you got the Founders Program. You're going to have the Masters Class videos, members roundtables, all the Bred to Perfection lives, edited and cleaned up for you, a complete audio library, the resources for the members, coaching calls, daily articles, and a whole bunch more. Just so much there. And if you join, make sure you start with the Start Here pages, and you're going to do great. Now, you're going to learn from Frank and I. You're going to learn from Brian Reeder, Peter Brown, and Tony Seville, Dr. Rodrigo Gallardo, I guess you could say. And we're going to be covering genetics, breeding, healthcare, disease, nutrition, creating a strain, improving a strain, maintaining a strain. So this is going to be, some people are asking me, are you going to do this Father's Day too? I really don't know. This isn't the kind of offer that I plan on doing a lot. I told Nancy, we'll be lucky if we do this like once or twice a year.
If we do it again.
Yeah, we're not even sure.
We don't know if we're going to do it ever again. But, I didn't realize that's 4 days away. So you guys got 4 days until the deal starts. So get ready. Get your dollar ready.
I think you'll get a lot of people take up on the offer, because I get a lot of people right now telling me they're saving up to get their wives or their husband or their loved one to get them the annually for Christmas. I don't know how many people I've had tell me that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
the
good.
year one is nice because you don't have to think about the monthly payment. You do get a discount, but you don't have to
About
think about that
$100
monthly
a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a great
Um,
discount for the annual.
And you don't feel like you're on a limited time schedule. For an example, you go to Disneyland for one day, you want to get the most that you can for your dollar in that one day. If you're only there for a short time, you've got that stress on you that you have to get in there as much as you can. But if you go in there and you did a year membership, you're like, I got a year to learn this stuff. And so you can kind of relax.
Yeah. And if you join for the Mother's Day special and you like it, then you can upgrade anytime. You just go to the registration page, click that annual tab, and it'll automatically upgrade for you. And it's like you said, it saves you about $100 a year. So yeah, the $1 will get you in, but that annual will get you another $100 savings. I think you're gonna like. So I didn't even tell Frank we were gonna do this. What'd you think when you saw it?
Oh, I saw it on the website.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, when you first put it out, I think last week or the last weekend, I think it was. Yeah, I saw it. I thought it was a good idea. I thought it was a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're half an hour in. We better get moving before we lose internet because it already glitched.
Did it?
A couple times.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me do this. Oh, shoot. My screen just did something funny. Hold on a second. How do I get out of this? Everything just got large.
Well, mine blacked out last time we was on here, if you remember. And I still don't know to the day what happened with that.
Okay. This is weird. Hold on a second. I gotta figure out what happened to my screen here.
You look fine on my side.
No, it's not how I'm coming off on the video. It's how my screen looks here. You should see
Just
it.
magnified.
Everything went. Phew, it got big. Now I gotta figure out how to get out of it. That's weird.
It's wanting to get out of there.
Huh.
All right, so this is Frank's night, I believe, isn't it?
Oh, Jesus.
Well, Kenny's
if I can-
figuring that out. What are we going to be talking about tonight?
What did I hit? Holy crap.
Well, me and Kenny was talking about subjects that we not normally covered on the show. And I got thinking about it. And I'll tell you what gave me the idea. It was Brian Reeder, actually. Talking about recessive white, the white being a bad thing of it. And I remember a couple of times I had some birds. And these birds had no white in them whatsoever. They was like Kenny's Maximus. Never had any of them with any white in them. And a predator had pulled the tail out of one of my birds. And when he come back in, molded back in for that feather loss, they were snow white, all white. And I've had 2 or 3 different birds do that from that. And everything you look up, it was from the stress of that attack on that predator that brought that white out on that bird. And I've seen this happen many, many times over. So I got to thinking, stress is big in humans. It's huge in especially wild animals. And the same for our birds that we have in our backyards. It
definitely.
it can control many things. Environmental changes, poor handling. I've seen people just reach in a pen and just grab a bird and just terribly rough with it, That stresses those birds out. They want to be able to be. I think we lost Nancy. Can you hear me, Nancy?
I'm still here.
Okay. You froze up
I
there
can
for a
hear
little
you.
bit.
I'm still here.
Okay. But
that's probably just me being very still.
no, I think it froze up there for just a second.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I had to leave the internet to come back. I had to turn off the whole page to start over. I don't know what I did. It's all them. Pew. Frank's head hit. All I saw was Frank's eyes, this big.
I had a big head.
No, everything got large all of a sudden. I'm like, oh crap! So I don't know what you
We're
guys are
still
talking
having
about.
issues.
Okay, what are we
All
talking
right.
about? I totally missed everything.
We're down on
We
poor
were
handling.
talking about you.
Oh, poor handling.
That damn Kenny son of a bitch.
Some people, they just don't realize you want to be gentle. You want to gain trust with your birds. And I've seen people, whether it's, on a cord, in a pen, they'll just go in, they don't use a net or anything, and they're grabbing at that bird. Now, if you use a net to grab, I've seen people use those leg catchers. I don't like using those myself because I think it damages the birds. It can hurt them, by grabbing them by the leg that way. But just a soft dip net intake, and that bird doesn't see it as an extension of you that way. It looks at it as what it is a dip net. It doesn't look like you the one that's doing it. And I found that's the best way. But people just going in and grabbing these birds, they could take them back to the pen, they just throw them in, rough handle them. That stresses out those birds bad. But I will say this, with hens and roosters, a hen will stress 3 times more than the roosters will. You move a rooster, you've made his day. He's fluffed up, he's showing off himself, he's scratching, he's calling the hens, he's having a good time. You take a hen that's pretty much lays every day, and you move her 3 cages down from her environment, she may go a week without even laying.
That's right.
So the stress is there. It's just sometimes we have to recognize that it's there. It's not something that you can see. You can watch the bird's actions. A lot of times it can tell you that the stress is there, but a lot of people doesn't catch it.
Yeah. It could be the environment. I'm not sure what you guys already talked about, but it could be environment, just like the kind that environment. Now, this may breed strong birds too, because I think Frank's birds are really strong because of their environment due to the rains and the winds and the wet weather. Now, we don't have that as much, but I can see a big difference between, like right now, today's a really nice day, really sunny, perfect. It's not hot, not cold. It's perfect out here right now. A storm can come in next week and they just are like completely different birds. And if it stays long enough, then it can stress them to the point where they start becoming unhealthy. Yeah.
Kenny, that's the reason I'm a nutritional freak. That's the reason I'm so big in nutrition. If my nutrition wasn't right with the weather that we have, especially in the winter, these cold temperatures, 25, 30 below, all the rain that we have, the wind, the bad storms, my birds wouldn't make it. I probably wouldn't have a feather laid on my yard. If I didn't have my nutrition spot on as good as I could get it, I don't think I would be losing birds like crazy every winter.
Now, I do believe that you need proper nutrition. They got to have all the proper nutrients. They have to have the amino acids, the proteins, the carbohydrates, all the supplement. I mean, not the supplements, but the minerals and all that. Okay. But I do believe now I've been using the same feed forever. Now, one time I ran out and I had to go and get different feed. They were having an issue with it. My birds didn't like it. And it made a difference. I could tell the way they were acting. It wasn't so much they weren't getting the nutrition. It was the fact they didn't like it. It was a change in their environment. And just the fact that they didn't like it, you could tell they were upset. You could tell that it was starting to affect them. Eventually, they would get used to it because I had to go for a little while. And then when I went back to my feed, they did the same thing again. All of a sudden, they're like, what's this? They like things to be similar. They like things to be the same. When you mix things up or change their environment, whether it's their cage, their pens, their feed, if there's a change, they feel it, they act on it, and like Frank says, hens take it worse than roosters every time.
Yeah. And, I noticed that way off the bat, even when I was a kid, I noticed that, but I take a lot of times my birds, they look so bad back when I was a kid, because I couldn't stop myself from picking them up. I'd go walk around with a rooster in my hand all the time. I loved them so well that I wanted them in my hands. But my hands, I didn't wear any gloves or anything. My hands was taking the oils out of their feathers. It was stressed them out because they was in my hands so much. And I didn't realize that back then. Now, handling them some is good, but we can even overhandle our birds as far as moving them around and, being relevant in their lives and gentling them down. You can overdo that to cause them to stress out. Too much handling.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially hens every time. They just don't like to be bothered, and you just got to do everything you can to knock those stress levels down, especially when it comes to environment, their feed. Now, here's another one is predators. I just saw someone pop it up on the screen here. Predators can be a big issue. Just the fact, like, I don't get a lot of issues with predators, but when they're in the yard, my birds react. And to the point when if it was something they were always having to deal with, I would see a difference. Now, this is the kind of thing that affects their reproductive system probably the most. That's how we're going to see it. We're not going to get the hatches we were hoping. We're not going to get the quality of chicks that we were hoping for. So we just got to do everything we can to make them stress-free as possible and pay attention to what's going on in our yard and do everything we can to make the birds feel like they're in a secure place. I think you were mentioning that earlier. If they feel secure, then you're going to get the most out of them, so.
If you've got a predator on your place, your birds will let you know. They're on edge. The slightest little thing out of the corner of the eye, like I could walk by a pen or something, catch them off guard, and they just fly into the wire, acting erratic, like they were spooked all the time. You can guarantee yourself when they're acting that way, there's a predator coming in there. Now, it may not be killing your chickens, but there's one around. They know it's around. They're on edge that way. And I've seen them many times do that and get checking security cameras, and it could be a bobcat, a fox, some kind of predator that would be there. But it affects your birds solely. I've even went out and find places on their heads where they'd hit the wire. There's little indications like that you can tell when something's not right in your flock when they're on edge that way.
Now, I just saw it on the screen. I think it was Raiders. And I've noticed this too. Even in California, a lot of people think we don't get weather. It can get pretty darn cold here. And in the wintertime, if you're not adding a little more carbohydrate and they're burning it off and they're freezing through the night, man, you can see a big difference. And if you're doing that all winter long and they go into the breeding season, they're not ready for breeding season. So I'm the same way. I like to up the carbohydrates. I'll add that whole corn to their feed, and they do so much better. And a lot of times in the colder weather, I'll feed them at near the end of the day rather than the morning, because I want that food in their crop through the night so they stay warm. So they're like generating that heat. And then in the summertime, I back off on the carbohydrates up to protein quite a bit. And that makes a big difference and helps them through the hot weather. So I think adjusting your feed a little bit in those kind of situations I think it's actually really important.
Here I focus more. I do the carbohydrates with the corn, the milo and the wheat for the carbs. But in real cold temperature times, like, we are having the 20 below, I like the calories. The calories stay with them a lot longer. Protein's good, but protein's a short burst and it's short limited, but calories will take them right on through. So it's really well on the body for there. And Kenny's so right. I want my birds to feed them the last part of the night in cold weather where they're up on the roost. Now, we all know about the crop. The crop is nothing but a storage bag. But the gizzard, when it enters the gizzard, that's a muscle. So, they've got your grid in there. It's working. It's moving constantly, breaking that food down. Now, what happens when a muscle moves constantly? It builds heat. So if they're breaking down that food, they're digesting that food, they're doing just enough movement with that gizzard to give them some warmth inside their body, to help them with that extreme cold, plus the nutrition that they're getting through that.
See, when I think of feed, as far as adjusting my feed, I'm thinking of two things all the time. As a breeder, what can I do in the wintertime to get them prepared for the breeding season? So I don't just wait for the breeding season. I'm looking for things I can do to get them ready for the breeding season, because if they go into the breeding season with the proper weight and body and with the proper nutrition, and they didn't lose it all because of the cold, because I've seen so many birds lose so much weight during the cold because they weren't ready for it. Okay. They go into the breeding season with not much muscle on their bone, and they're not able to reproduce like they're supposed to. Hens aren't as broody or as good at brooding as they should be. And then the other thing is, once the breeding season's over and we're going through the summer, my whole thought is, okay, not only do I want them to get through the summer as comfortable as possible, but I want them to be prepared for the molt. Because if they're not prepared for the molt, then they're not going to go through the molt properly. And if they're not going to go through the molt properly and replenish their bone and their muscle and all the things that they lost through the breeding season, then they're not going to be prepared for the breeding season that's coming up. So I'm always looking for not just to change their feed, but to change their feed to get them through the winter, prepared for the breeding season, through the summer, and prepared for the molt. Those are the two things I'm thinking about the most.
Yeah, you're right, Kenny. The molt is the bird's time off. That's their vacation. It's not a good one, so to speak, because, they're feverish, they feel bad, but that's their rest period. That's a time, just like Kenny said, that's a time they replenish their bodies, because the breeding season takes a lot out of them, especially the hens.
Are you
the
telling
hens
me I'm in a molt?
But yeah,
that's I'm in a molt right now.
Yeah, that's their rest time. That's the time that they're down, and it's a much needed rest, because the breeding season does take quite a bit out of them, especially the hens. Half of their calcium to make the eggs, half of it will be drawn from the skeleton itself, and half nutrition. So they need to replenish all that they lost through the breeding season. And it's not like 2 or 3 days or a week they're rested up, ready to go again. It takes some time. It's a slow process to get them back to where they need to be, like Kenny said, for the next breeding season.
What was Derek saying, Nancy?
So Derek was asking, let's talk about reducing heat stress, because we're going to be getting into the summer here pretty soon with proper nutrition, clean, cold water daily. And he says he even missed his birds when it's 100-degree days.
Now, I'd be careful with the misting. You don't want to get the ground too damp for too long. Then you create bacteria and all that, Well, so I'd be careful of that.
The misting, and this is how I see it. Go in and put you a heavy winter coat on. Walk outside and let somebody soak you down with a water hose, cold water. In about an hour, tell me how good that feels. You're gonna be burning up. And same with the chicken. That doesn't let the heat from the body when they're wet. It holds it in against them. So you want to watch just a slight misting, maybe around the outside of the cages is okay, but not directly on the bird. That can be dangerous.
Well, not only that, but the misting actually increases the humidity too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Common sense tells you, to cool them off, but it's the after effects, the drying off period, that is when it makes a problem.
Yeah. Just make sure they have good shade and clean water. Fresh, clean, cool water, and 9 times out of 10, you'll be fine. It's the direct sun that usually kills them, or the fact they're not getting enough water, And if the water is on one side of the pan and they have to cross over sun to get it, a lot of times the chickens won't cross the sun to get to the water. And if it's hot, they won't drink it. So good shade. Hopefully they got a breeze, and fresh water, clean water, cool water in the proper places, I think will go a long way, actually.
Now, we've got an outline that I sent Kenny on the extreme cold weather care and also on extreme heat care. But I think we've got those for the members. We really hadn't talked about it yet, whether we was going to do it on the front end or the back end. But those two I had it to where we was going to actually share it with the members themselves. But I'll leave that up to Kenny, what he wants to do.
My opinion is if it's just common information, then I'm okay with that being on the front end. If it's something that's exclusive to the members because it's like attached to, my biggest thing as far as what goes in the back is things that have to do with the Founders Program, gene shopping, improvement through reduction, those kind of things. Talking about inbreeding, we can talk about inbreeding, but if it's the part that's attached to the program, then we need to do it on the back. So I don't mind doing a lot of it on the front, but the parts that are associated with the programs go in the back. That's my biggest thing,
Yeah. Now, a lot of people, with me, a lot of people laughed at me when I tried this and I was doing it. And I was telling people, now this is back 15 years ago, and they really got a chuckle out of this, but in extreme heat, when it's like 100 out with like 85% humidity, and we get a lot of that here, up to 108, and the humidity, just, you can't breathe. You walk outside and you just automatically, perspiring. It's terrible. But in those cases right there, apple cider vinegar is great. It allows them to drink even more water. But the thing of it is, if you take water and you put out in those bowls within 2 hours, you stick your finger in it, it's like coffee. So the ideal is, like Kenny mentioned it a while ago, keep the water changed out. Constantly go around and replace the water, because it doesn't take long for that water to get so hot that it's so hot they can't drink it. So, replacing that, getting them, even putting ice in it, if you can have a way to even put ice in the water.
Here's a trick. I'm sorry. Here's a trick I use. I don't know if Frank knows it when I was here. And I've been doing it for a long time, and it works great. I noticed that when the waters are smaller, they heat up faster. Mm-hmm. Now, if you notice how I use, especially in certain times of the year, I have these big buckets of water. They're huge. It's hard for especially if they're in the shade. It's hard for even in the hottest summer to really make those waters hot, because there's so much water there. Have you noticed that, Frank?
Mm-hmm. You're right.
So I don't know how many gallons those buckets are.
About three gallons.
The ones you got. They got to be at least 5.
It might be 5. You talking about the big metal buckets you got?
Yeah. I've never had a problem with hot water since I've been using those.
Yeah. And plus you don't have it. It's in the pen, so it's not right out in the sun. It's got shelter over it. Now, a lot of people are like me. They use the ones on the outside of the cage, and the sun is actually, making contact right with it. But the way Kenny's got his, and that does help keep it cool, because the sun's not hitting it direct.
And it's a lot of water.
Right. And what they was laughing at me about, I started giving my chickens Gatorade for their electrolytes. You've got everything you need in there. And I'd buy the drenches and mix it up and take it around, and they would absolutely drink it. They love it. Mine likes the grape the best.
And what Nancy would do, she hasn't done it in a while, she may start up pretty soon, is she would freeze these water bottles, mm-hmm. and then she would throw those into those buckets too.
Yeah.
So I've never really had to worry about water getting too hot around here. As long as my birds have shade, and it gets hot here. Don't get me wrong. I've seen it as hot as 117 here.
Wow.
We've had some hot summers where I walked out going, how are my chickens alive? You know what I mean?
It's amazing.
That I'm dying out here, so
it's amazing. And another thing you've got to watch out too, if I have my birds at the weight that they're at right now, coming out of the cold right now, which I've already changed the feed, but if I had them at the flesh they are right now, they'd never make it through the summer. You've got to have those birds to where they basically don't have any fat on them, right to the point of molt. And then once fall comes and it starts going up, then you can increase it back up again to get them ready for the molt itself.
Okay, let's get back on track here. We're not going to get through this outline.
Okay, so let me say this.
Come on, Nancy.
First. Kiku was saying that because we were talking about predators, he has kingfish that eat the biddies, eat the babies. And so his birds are really good at sounding the alarm when they see those kingfishers coming along. And that reminds me of Kenny, because when our birds sound off, he'll go out in the yard and he'll like look around and there's nothing out there. And he's like, what are you talking about, these chickens, because they're sitting there squawking like crazy. And for him and in our yard, we'll occasionally get a squirrel coming through. And, because we have crows too, ravens actually.
Squirrels will really stress the birds out.
Our birds are used to the raven, but squirrels will just do a number on our.
They move too fast for them. They're unpredictable. And they drive the birds crazy.
Mine's used to them.
No,
we've got so many. We've got so many. They don't even pay attention to them. They go in the pen. They don't want to fool with them.
As soon as I get them, I get them out of here. So my birds never have a chance to get used to them, because they just cause too much. I can't, because they cause too much damage.
It's the way they move.
They'll dig up my shed out here, the foundation of my shed if I let them. Okay, so let's move forward.
Yeah.
They have an impact. Stress has an impact on the immune system, Frank.
That's the biggest one, Kenny.
Yeah,
is immune system.
Yeah,
and not only that. When you take them down, and I mean, if you're even feeding them the best nutrition, and we always call your nutrition the maximum medication that there is out there, your feed is. That protects that bird, keeps them healthy. And if they've got something that's bugging them and keeping them stressed all the time, they're just like us. Their immune system is not going to be to par. They're going to be more affected by all the type diseases that we have on our yards. Once that immune system goes down, they've got no resistance. And I say this and say this. I don't care whose yard it is. There's disease on that yard of some kind. It's just your birds has grown tolerant and resistant to it because they're healthy. But that immune system goes down, all bets are off. They're going to be more contagious. They're going to be able to pick those diseases up, and the diseases actually take a hold of them and do what it's intended to do.
And the biggest one is respiratory diseases, CRD. Yeah. If they have mycoplasma, it's going to show, because once they're stressed and their immune system goes down, you're going to start seeing sniffles. Now, coryza, I wouldn't say that stress brings it on. If they are exposed to coryza or not, you said they're going to express it, and that's a big deal. But CRD can hide itself pretty long and pretty good until the stress, picks up, their immune system's compromised, and all of a sudden now you found out that they have CRD. If their immune system goes down enough, I guess coccidiosis can be an issue, but I think if their environment's good, they can usually not have a problem with that. But if their immune system is hit hard enough, they can actually start having issues with parasites. That's probably, now you would just say, well, parasites were just bad that year. Well, I actually think the chickens' immune system, its genetics, the ability to fight and resist parasites is huge. And if their resistance goes down, even though they may have the genetics, the good genetics, if their immune system goes down, it makes them very vulnerable. And before you know it, they're filled, not just have lice, they're filled with it. They got so much, there's no way they can battle it.
I have never, now this is me. I have never had a bird that was extremely healthy to have lice or mites.
No, me either. Yeah.
I've never had, every time that I've had a bird on my yard that had external parasites of those type, they've either been elderly, up in their age, or not as healthy as the rest of the flock.
And what does that tell you, Frank? When you get older, your immune system starts to falter.
And I am proof of that. I notice it every year. It seems like my immune system goes down a little bit. What didn't affect me is now affecting me, like my allergies. Never had allergies in my life. As soon as I got in my late 40s, I started having little bitty signs of allergies, and now I can cut the grass and my eyes are all puffy and red. So
absolutely.
Age has a lot to do with it, and poor feed formulas can actually create the same thing, because without nutrition, you can't be healthy.
We had a hen I'm going to say passed away on us the other day. This hen was 17 years old.
Wow.
And I told Nancy, and she was good all the way up to this point. You could just tell she was aging. You could tell she was getting older. It was really weird. And I kept telling Nancy, okay, I'm starting to notice a difference in her. There's something about the way she's looking that I think her immune system is compromised. I told Nancy, I don't think she's not acting sick exactly, but I feel like she only has like a week to go.
Lethargic acting.
Just different.
Yeah.
And I could see in her face, her skin was starting to change and everything, which seemed like there was she was lacking something in her immune system. You know how when your immune system lacks, you start having conditions on your skin and things like that. Well, I was starting to see that. I told Nancy, she looks okay. She's moving okay, but I just have a feeling she's not going to last. She's not like having respiratory issues, nothing like that. But I think you have about a week, and she died right at a week later.
Well, you were saying she was telling you, how she was feeling pretty much.
Yeah.
But that's like I was telling Kenny the other day. I've got one that's 14 years old, and she's laid an egg every day for the past 2 weeks, and her 14 years old.
Wow.
But now, if you could see the egg, they're very small and they're pointy as they could be. Some wouldn't even consider it an egg, but it's still an egg. But at 14 years old, I don't think she's going to have very attractive looking eggs at that age. But it just amazed me, her being that old and still laying. That's the first for me.
Yeah. Now, stress can also have an issue with reduced growth and muscle development. A lot of people don't realize that that's stress.
Yeah.
Or has some relation to stress.
And we say it. What happens when, especially in Gamefowl, what happens when they lose the breast muscle?
Don't get it back.
It never, ever comes back in the area, even close to where it was prior to that. So that's very, very important. Stress, we can make it sound easy that, we just keep stress away from our birds. You're not going to keep stress out of your birds, but you can maintain it. You can help keep it down to a smaller level by, keeping a watch on your yard for just that and know what to look for.
This is funny that we're talking about this because was it last week? I had a coaching call with one of my members and he was using a particular supplement. And one thing he noticed was that the bird on the supplement was like overactive, too active, too on its feet, too responsive to everything. It was like, and I think that bird was stressed. And I think that stress was overworking him and he was losing weight, losing muscle. So I think the supplement was getting him too heightened, too, alert to everything, to the point when he wasn't, he was burning the calories too fast and he was burning off his muscle at the same time. So, because I thought, have you making sure he has water? Because water has a lot to do with it too. If they don't have enough water, they'll lose muscle that way too. Oh, yeah. If they're not getting the water and plenty of it, they'll definitely lose muscle.
Yeah.
So, and
just like starvation.
And I noticed everybody that told me they had a problem with a particular supplement, that is the common denominator, is it makes them so active, so alert, over responsive, and they're just like, there's too much there. It's like they're on caffeine all the time, high caffeine all the time.
Well,
so it seems
look
like
at it this way, Kenny. Look at it this way. What will we do? Imagine the best day that you've ever felt, like hyperactive, back when you was young, you just had those days to where you felt like you could jump over a house, you felt good. Imagine feeling like that and somebody putting you in a little 10 by 10 room and leaving you in there. It's going to stress you because you want to get out and do things, you want to go places, you want to do what a chicken does, but he can't. He's barricaded in that one little bitty room, So, it would put stress on them because of just not being able to work it off as they need to work it off.
I just tell them, be careful about supplements. I don't like them. I don't use them. My birds don't need them. My birds are healthy. They eat good. They're active. They feel good. They got good body on them. They good feather. If you have that, then you don't need supplements. But if you feel like you need to use them sparingly. Use them much lower than recommended, and not every day. Not every day. Use them for like 5 days and take a week off. Okay, and use it maybe half or less than they recommend it. Be careful of this stuff. Okay.
Birds will tell you. If you watch those birds, they'll tell you everything you need to know. You got to know what to watch for, but those birds will tell you, as far as nutrition, what's going on. If it's too hot, they'll do just like Kenny was mentioning there. If it's too low, they'll sit around, won't have any activity to them whatsoever. You want them to have some activity to them, but you don't want them to be bouncing off the walls of the cage.
Ask yourself, why do you think you need the supplement? You may not need it, okay? If the birds are active, feel good, look good, eating good, they're reproducing, they're doing everything they should, then chances are you don't need a supplement. You're doing fine. Everybody gets all hyperactive about their feed or all worried about their feed. Chances are, if you're seeing those signs, there's no indications that they need the supplement. Don't give them the supplement. You know what I mean? The bird, like Frank said, the birds will tell you if there's an issue or not. Poor feather, do a process of elimination and start looking at their environment, then look at their feed. Okay. If it's all the birds having an issue, probably it may be the feed. If it's only one bird, then I would say, no, it's not the feed, that kind of thing.
This is what gets me though, Kenny. You have somebody that it's not breeding season. It's before the moult. It's hot as it can be. And they're feeding a high protein feed, say 21%. And that's what they feed their birds year round. Well, what they're doing is they're keeping that bird amped up on good feed, high protein feed. The only time we want to do that is when they're at work, when they're breeding. Then there's a time and place for it. But you don't want to take your birds on the off season and load them up on all this stuff and have them on their tiptoes running around in the pens when it's off season. They're not able to use all that energy. So once again, that can bring a lot of stress on a bird, super
Yeah.
amount of stress.
Yeah. Most of the people I've looked at who said they thought they needed to change their feed, they would send me videos of their bird. I'm like, man, your birds are nice. They look good. They're acting good. I go, do they feel good in the hand? He goes, yeah, they feel perfect. I go, then don't change anything. Okay. Their feed is fine just the way it is. You don't need to add a supplement or nothing. You know, we are over examining our feed these days. And a lot of times we don't need to change a damn thing.
That's true. That's true. Because if your birds is doing everything you expect of them,
Yep.
they're healthy. You're not seeing disease in your flock. You're not seeing them lethargic. All of them look good the way they're supposed. Everything's going well. Leave it alone. Don't ruin a good thing.
If they're reproducing, the chicks are growing and developing properly. They're healthy. She's healthy. What the heck? You know what I mean? We don't need to start adding things and try to preempt everything. Try to get ahead of it all the time. If they look good, act good, feel good, they're good. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. So let me go into this. Is just kind of highlight some of the things we have here. Now, stress. They're going to start losing weight because usually, if they're stressed, they're not eating enough. They're not eating well. It may not be the feed exactly. It just may be if you're stressed, you don't eat. Well, they have the same problem we do. Okay, which is going to affect their muscle and their bone structure, and they're going to start acting sick, lethargic. You're going to start see it from a point of high stress to something where they're just not moving very much and looking good and acting good. So
I've seen stress be so great on the birds that they would actually not finish their moult. They would finish the year with maybe 3 or 4 feathers in their tail, or have a bunch of feathers missing out of their wings, just from an incomplete moult. They wouldn't even moult out the way they should be. And even getting the proper nutrition, they still wouldn't moult out where they be. Or just like people, we get stressed. What happens? Our hair can fall out. Just from the stress itself. So same way with chicken. Chicken gets extremely stressed. They can lose feathers, go and molt in the middle of breeding season, so to speak.
Well, they start feather picking each other. That's a sign of stress too.
Over grooming. Cannibalism.
Frank, let me say this, because this is what I hear all the time. They see they see birds picking each other, and the advice it's given is that are missing something in their feed. Maybe they are, but it's hard for me to believe that these commercial feeds who have been around a long time, that most of the birds do well on them, all of a sudden are missing something in the feed that's making birds pick feathers. Yeah. My thing is, I'm sure the feed most of the time is fine. They're just they're stressed, or they picked up a bad habit that they shouldn't have picked up.
Yeah. Well, if I've got a hen and she's doing that, she's gone.
Yeah.
For one.
But
a lot of people's got these chicks in a pen and they start pecking each other. Usually 9 times out of 10, it's not your nutrition. It's you've got them overcrowded. Usually 9 times out of 10. Yeah. If you put the right amount of chicks to the space that you need, usually you don't have that problem and they all get along. But if you get them crowded, it's just like us. You put us in a crowded room, people bumping into us and, pecking us and doing this and that. It doesn't work out. It stresses us out. So in stress, they fight each other. They peck each other. They eat each other's feathers. So, I agree with that, Kenny. I think 90% of it is a lot of times it's just just got too many chicks in one pen.
And think of it like this too, is if you have a brooder, let's say, that has a lot of chicks in there, or you take a lot of quail-sized birds, put them all in one pen, they start developing the habit of picking each other, whether it's picking the feathers or even the skin, and start creating issues. Well, a lot of times they carry that on to when they're older. They picked it up as young chicks and they carry it on to when they're older.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. A lot of the habits that they learn when they're little, they carry on. But this is what gets me. I see in the groups and everything, they'll show these baby chicks going after each other. And it's almost like they use it as a bragging badge, And I'm thinking they wouldn't be doing that if you didn't have so many in that pen. Or you can even get the chicks too hot and they'll start attacking each other. They'll get aggressive. If the temperatures is too hot, they'll go after each other just from the little on the stress of the heat.
Mhm. Stress will also bring in weird things like reproductive issues, not hatching as many chicks, not staying on the nest long enough. And I think a lot of times we see this with young pullets because they are stressed. There's a lot, everything's new to them. It's like a teenager, things happening to their bodies that they didn't expect. They're stressed. Whereas when they become mature hens, they're kind of used to how things go. They understand the farm, they understand you, they kind of fall into the regular routines. And then all of a sudden, you don't, not all of a sudden, but eventually you don't have a problem with those kind of hens. It's always when I see the issues that we're talking about, like fewer eggs, abandoning the nest, um, they're not great mothers. I have to say, sometimes I think that's stress
It
more
could
than
be.
anything.
It could be. A lot of it could be genetic, but a good lot of it could also be stress as well. Because, you know, I said at the beginning of the show, you take a hen that's laid every day for the past 3 weeks and you put her in you don't have to take her far. Just put her in the cage next to her and she's not going to lay for a few days whatsoever because they do stress so much more than the roosters do. The roosters can stress, but you're right, Kenny. The pullets and the hens it's really a load on them to what little bit can actually stress them.
The rooster could stress them too. Some hens,
Very much.
they stress very easily. They stay up on the roost and won't come down.
That's the reason I single mate.
Yeah.
That's one reason I single mate because I found out a long time ago. If I bring that cock in and put him in with that hen a couple hours a day, I get so much more many eggs out of that hen, and that hen stays healthier. By that rooster being in there, some roosters is a little bit more aggressive than other roosters.
Yeah.
They're right down mean to the hen. I've seen them, just hit them for no reason.
I get rid of those cocks.
With them. Yeah, I don't like that. I do not like that. But like you said, they'll get up on the roost. They'll do without food and water because they're so scared of that cock harming them. Now, after they've been in with the pen with the cock for a while and they get to know them, they calm down a little bit. But it's still stressful on that hen having that cock right over top of her, ruling her at every moment. So that's the reason that I do all single mating for that reason.
When I see a hen like that, I will take the roost out and make them stay on the ground, and then I'll watch them, keep an eye on him. And if he's doing something where I can see it's obvious that he's stressing her, then it's not good. And then I'll have to make a decision what to do about that. But a lot of times just getting her on the ground with him for a while, because sometimes she's just scared for no reason. He didn't do a damn thing. She just doesn't like the rooster or any rooster. Some hens are like that. And if it's an issue that won't quit, then to me, I take that bird out of the breeding program because behaviors, that's a genetic, that's a selection point too. And that could be genetic too. So if I don't want her to produce more pullets like her, where they're always afraid of the rooster and he didn't even do anything, so I'll take that roost off, let them sit on the ground. And I'll examine her and I'll see whether he's an issue or she's an issue. Maybe even put her with another rooster, see what she does. Sometimes I'll just get rid of the hen. It's just not worth it.
That's, with me and you, we don't breed pullets. I want to see that hen when she's mature. Even though if I've had them 20, 30 years, I want to see that hen at 18 to 24 months.
Yeah.
Okay. But stags, I will breed stags out of a already made family that I know about. Mm-hmm. But one thing with a stag, you have to be leery of. They're inexperienced. They don't have patience like the cocks have. They can harm to even hurt a hen bad enough to cause her life. So you have to be very, very careful when breeding stags for that reason, because they will stress a hen out badly. Stags will.
Okay, so let's talk about how to reduce and manage the stress in your yard. Let's go, starting with, we kind of talked about it, providing a proper nutrition. I think most people are a little too hypersensitive when it comes to nutrition. I think we've made them too aware of it when they're starting to feel that there's a problem when there never was a problem, and they're starting to see things that they didn't see before. A lot of times, I just don't think it's the nutrition. Yeah, there's some bad companies out there. I think I don't want to say their names. There is one that I try to stay away from, but like Nutrina, most of the products at Nutrina are pretty damn good. I do believe they're some of the best feeds out there. What,
Come on,
Nancy?
Nancy.
Can I
Dying?
say something?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Go right
No,
on.
but I've been trying to say something for
No,
a
I
while
was
now,
giving
and I
you a
can't get in.
break.
I even
Have you
said
got your light?
No, I took it away from her.
No, I don't have that light anymore because he doesn't pay attention to that. But I even said something in the outline. Can I say something? And like I went.
I didn't see it.
So okay, that's my rant. I'm done. I don't need to say anymore. I'm done. No.
No, I was giving you a
Tenet.
break. I thought you weren't feeling good.
I'm not feeling good, but I'm
Just
just
say
sitting here
it.
like doing nothing. Okay. Tenants. You got a new tenant in the pen. You put a hen in there where the other
pecking
two
order.
hens are not used to that hen. That's a stressful time for the new hen and the other two that are already used to
You know why I
the
don't?
three of
Nancy,
them.
you know why I didn't think? It's funny you said that. I don't have pecking order on my list here. You know why I don't think about the pecking order? Because I'm like Frank. I'm single mating everything out here. I rarely pen a bunch of birds together, and if they were together, it's because they were born together.
That's me. If you see more than two pullets, and it's usually pullets inside my pen, it's just because they was brought up with each other. I never put them together because that I don't care how good of natured hen they are, when they don't know each other, there's going to be a bad time one way or the other. Either when you first throw them in or after you leave, one or the other is going to happen.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Nancy. You got me all excited because I was like, why didn't I put that on my list? And I just thought about it because I don't worry about that. So go ahead.
Well, that's you, but that's not 99%
No, you're right.
of the
No,
other
you're right.
people that
You're
do
exactly right.
different types of breeding. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. I should have had that on my list.
Oh, are you going to talk about hens and having a safe, quiet space to lay their eggs? Because that's another thing. That
Again, no. See, I don't think that's not a problem for me because my birds are single mated. They're in their own pens. They have their own boxes. I put the box away from the sun and then a certain area, so I don't have that issue. And I don't think you should be breeding in having broody hens in pens where there's other hens, anyways, ever.
That's asking for it.
Yeah, you're asking for problems. That's not the way to breed, actually. Not if you're going to create or improve a strain.
I have a hard time right now. I won't keep birds out on like strings on teepees during this time because one, the pullets that I've got running free ranging inside my fenced in lots, they'll come off with these weed hatch or yard monkeys, whatever they're talking about, whatever anybody wants to call them. And I learned a long time ago, when you've got those pullets running out like that, they'll have nests all over. I was telling Nancy and Kenny that last flood that we had here, the water come down and there was, I think Amanda counted, there was like 175 eggs that had washed down out of the brush and the bushes at the house up to the fence. We was picking eggs up all over the place where those pullets had laid eggs up there and the water had brought them down. But just imagine now, if I'd had a rooster out that had fertilized those eggs, how many chicks would have been coming off that? It would have been crazy,
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
That would have been very interesting.
Yeah. I learned that lesson. I learned better than that one year. I didn't do that, and I had chicks coming off everywhere. It seemed like every day a pullet was coming in with a gang of baby chicks. I had no idea what they were.
No,
I
don't do it that way. I just don't pick up the eggs in the pens. And I get my own weed type patches, so which I actually don't do very often, but that's one I shouldn't have done, but thank God I did.
Amanda keeps every one of them cleaned out, man. As soon as there's one laid, I've got her these little, it's got like two little suction cups on it. Use it for picking trash up. And she just reaches in the pen with one of them and grabs the egg. It's you don't have to raise the pen, open the door, just right through the checks and pick the egg up, put it in a bucket, go to the next one and get it. It makes it a whole lot easier to not have to lift that cage up to get that egg out.
Yeah. Okay. So providing a great housing, pens, whatever. Biggest thing, Frank, is keeping them out of the sun, keeping them out of the rain, I don't know, if maybe sometimes if it's cold enough, the wind. So providing a good environment for them.
That's a lot of what I see, Kenny. Birds do not do good in sunlight whatsoever. Now, they do enjoy it, taking a sun bath, in the dust. But if you put them out in the sun, Nothing is going to tolerate sun that's got an internal temperature of 105 to 107 degrees. They just can't, where their core temperature is so hot, they just can't stand a lot of heat. Heat is even their worst enemy as far as cold goes. If I had my two picks to have them in the cold or have them in the heat, I would pick cold all day long. You can adjust for the cold, but you can't the heat.
Yeah, right. Now, one of the things you have here as far as preventing stress would be limiting handling. And you talked about that earlier. And that may be a problem for some people if they hold their birds too much, but I have a feeling a lot of people don't hold their birds enough at all. So when they're with the birds, they're not giving them the proper attention. And then if they're inexperienced, it's the way they're catching them that stresses them.
Yeah, that's the reason I said earlier, I always use, I've got one of those bigger nets that's got a really soft texture to it. I don't like the ones that's got the big holes in it, like I don't know what it's made out of, like nylon. They just get tangled up in it, and it messes their wings up. What I've got one that's got just a little bitty tiny holes in it. It's got like a rubber mesh that's on it, like a coating on it, like a protective coating on it. Mm-hmm. And it works really, really good. But they really don't see that as you with the dip net. Now you start grabbing them with your hands and everything, it will make them more cautious of you, make them scared of you. But with the dip net, it doesn't seem like it works that good. I actually use that dip net as a protection agent too. I keep it in between me and the rooster just in case I threaten him on one of his hens and he comes at me. So I've got that dip net down to sort of protect myself as well with that.
Yeah, because like man fighters and man haters, it can be genetic. And it's something to watch for, definitely. But there's a way to breed them and work your way from it. It's not something to panic about. But I really do think that a lot of people are turning their birds into man fighters and man haters just by the way they're handling them and chasing them down and doing those kind of things. Because you're right. If I'm using a hook, which I'm very careful of when I use it, and I definitely use the nets, they don't see you in that net as being one.
No.
You know what I mean?
You can throw the net down on the ground. They won't come around it.
Yeah.
They say it like, oh, I don't want to around that thing, but you walk up and they're fine with it. So I like that ideal. Over the years using that, and gosh, I've used one for as long as I can remember back, and I've always got the same thing. Now they see me with the net in my hand, they get a little, they know what's going to happen. They know exactly what's happened. A lot of hens, they'll just sit down and throw their wings out, and say, okay, go on and catch me,
Yeah.
So some handle it a little bit better than others. But one thing you was talking about, abandoned nest, as far as stress, I've seen that in action here the past couple of days. I've got cattle, and we had a hen that was laying in the same spot every time. So Amanda would go get her eggs and live one. Well, the cow had stepped on the egg and busted the egg, so she thought somebody had took all her eggs. She quit laying there. She went somewhere else. So what Amanda done, she ordered a bunch of those big wooden eggs. And she started, when she'd take an egg, she'd put the wooden egg back in its place. So that kept them laying there. So, if we're gathering eggs and they're laying there every day and we keep taking their eggs, they're going to stop laying there because to them, they're like, well, something's taking my eggs. I'm not laying there anymore. So those wooden eggs kind of help keep the stress down a little bit to the bird, them thinking, well, my egg's still here. It's safe.
Here's another one. Loud noises and unfamiliar people. I can go out there and wear whatever, and they're fine. Well, I take that back. If I wear like a red, they go berserk. If Nancy goes out there, sometimes they don't know who she is because she's just not out there enough. If I bring a stranger out there, now this is funny because if I bring a stranger out there, they go berserk. Like they don't know you. They don't want to know you. They're trying to get away from you. If I bring Frank here, I don't think they've ever went berserk with you here. No, they haven't. That's weird.
They've never done it. But mine's the same way. I'll bring somebody strange and they're walking through. It kind of annoys me because you're watching your chickens kill themselves running into the wire, And I'm thinking, when you've got as many as I've got,
okay,
couple flies into the wire, scared, and then they all start doing it.
Okay, I'm wondering about this because I don't think they went berserk when I went on your yard either. So didn't. I'm wondering if chickens can sense something from people. If some people are just different and they just sense something from people, maybe it's the way they're moving or the way they sound or something. But yeah, I don't remember them acting weird when I was on your yard either. And they definitely don't act weird on my yard when you're
now. If I wear a red or white t-shirt, they go berserk. They can't handle it. But now here's the thing. Amanda can wear bright colors. Doesn't affect them. They don't have a problem with it. I guess where she feeds them every day, I don't know. But I can walk out. They're not scared of me. But if I got just like a white T-shirt on or a solid red shirt, man, they go crazy. I have to take it off because I can't get around them.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. So stress is a real threat. It's something to take seriously. It can affect the way your birds improve and the way you maintain them, because if they're stressed all the time, they're just not going to reproduce themselves properly. You're not going to get the birds you need, but this is all manageable. If you take the precautions that you need to take, I think you can, it's like Frank said, they have to feel safe. That's the biggest thing.
And I want to add one more thing to that too, Kenny. Please, guys, keep them out of the mud and don't feed them in the mud. I see people, it come a rain, the birds tramped around, got a lot of mud in it, and they come along and throw the feed right in there on that mud, and the birds eating the mud. What it is in that mud, a lot of it's not mud. You have to think it's got feces in it. Okay, it's got urine in it. That bird's urine. I don't know of anything in this world that can eat its feed on its own feces like that and stay healthy. It just can't be done. Just keep the inside of the pens nice and dry. Use litter, but just don't let them walk around in that mud. I see that so often on these groups and stuff. People, actually taking pictures of their birds walking around in mud.
Yeah. So watch for the signs. Sooner you take care of it, the better. Once you get behind the 8 ball, so to speak, it's almost too late, because once their immune system drops, they start getting sick. It's really tough to recover. I'm not a medicine type person. A lot of times when it's stress induced, medicine isn't going to fix them. They're just too far gone. So if you can get ahead of the game, preempt the situation, a lot of times you're not going to have to deal with it. So yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Well, you got to look at it, and I'm sure Nancy does too. You have to look at the best nutrition you can give them is the best medication in the world to keep your birds healthy. Medications don't keep your birds healthy. It just keeps them from dying from the element, from the disease they carry. Feed keeps them healthy.
Yeah. Medications prolong whatever's going to happen. Most diseases are chronic. Even if you knock the symptoms down, it's just going to come back. As soon as there's stress, you're going to see it in a vengeance. So I'm not a big medicine person. I see a sick bird, I cull it. I see a defective bird or substandard bird, I cull it. I only want the best birds on my farm. And sometimes stress can be, or the way they act, which seems stressful, can be genetic. And sometimes if you see a bird that's like, if I have a cock that's a man fighter and I can't calm him down, I'll cull it. If I see a hen that's flighty, high strung, I'll cull it, because they'll reproduce themselves. The fact that they're susceptible to that kind of thing, that means they could be easily stressed. Some birds stress easier than others. I do want to get rid of the birds that stress easier than others. I want the birds, I want to select and breed to the hens, especially, that have an even temper, that I can walk around them. Now, I don't expect them to let me go over there and pick them up, but when I walk in the pen, I don't need them flipping out either. I'll get rid of those as fast as I can. So sometimes it's you, and you need to manage the stress. Sometimes a hen is what's the word for it? Propose. I know I'm not using the right word. That they're just set up for that. Genetically, they're high strung. They're naturally stressed. I don't want to breed to that. I will cull it. I'll get rid of it. Select and breed to the best temperament, and you're going to do fine.
Well, tell them what they get from those flighty hens, Kenny, when they breed them.
A lot of times that's where you get the man fighters. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if I see a stag that's like, when I pick it up and it's like, why, the eyes are huge and they're screaming and you could just tell they're scared for no reason, then I'll probably get rid of that bird. And if I trace it back to its mother or grandmother, then I'll probably see one that was high strung and flighty. Okay. If I see a hen, I'm walking by her pen, and she's flying through the coop for no reason, boom, I'll go in there and get her out of there. I will not breed to that hen. 9 times out of 10, maybe 99 out of 100, when you see a high-strung hen, or one that's that scared, you usually see man fighters following behind it.
My hens, I had 3 that hatched 100% of their eggs this past week. And I could reach down, pick her up, handle her, the chicks, not have to worry about her attacking me, going into me, just gentle. She could be that's what I want them to be. But now you let a cat or dog or an animal or something come around, she can tear it up, real fast. But I want a hen that's gentle. I want roosters that's gentle because there's nothing more aggravating than a bird that's just wanting to bite on you all the time or hit you. And it's dangerous too. They can really hurt you.
Yeah. Okay. Anything you guys want to say before we wrap it up? Nancy, looks like you want to say something.
We have 6 questions starred. They are on mostly nutrition, but
let's go ahead and take care of them real quick. Let's go ahead and take care of them real quick, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay. First one. Does selective breeding increase the flock's resistance to mycoplasma?
Well, I mean, if you select sick birds or birds that are susceptible to mycoplasma, then yeah. But if you select birds that are healthy, chances are you're going to get away. See, understand mycoplasma, there is a way to get around it. It's a vertical disease. But if you're selecting birds that are healthy, they're suppressing that. I mean, they're hiding that disease because they're healthy. They're not stressed. They're not bringing it out. Then chances are eventually they're going to produce offspring that don't carry it. It's when they're expressing it that they're shedding it. Okay, that's the important part. So just breed to the birds that are healthiest and get rid of the birds that are expressing the disease. And it will take a while. This is not something that happens overnight, but eventually you will get there. That's what I learned from Peter Brown, that there is a way to get around mycoplasma, but you got to be very selective, and you can't tolerate birds that look sick or act sick, because when they're sick, they're shedding the disease. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's the big thing.
And Peter does have the test. If you think your birds might have mycoplasma, he's got the little test that you can test them and know in 10, 15 minutes whether they're positive or not for mycoplasma. So
he says most people fail because they're not willing to do what it takes to get there. And that is to cull every bird that's expressing the disease. Yeah. And it could be a lot sometimes.
Yeah, it could be half or more of your flock.
Yeah.
Because it does go through the egg.
It's a vertical disease.
Yeah.
But eventually, because I think at one time I had mycoplasma in my yard, but I don't see it. I haven't seen evidence of it in years. I never have a respiratory disease. And I just select it towards the healthy. It's breeding for resistance. Okay, what we got, Nance?
Okay, next question is, do you have a DIY recipe for chicken Gatorade?
Yes, I do. And it will be on when Mint Kenny does the some of the nutrition. It will be on the members. I'll get him to post it on the members, but it's just it's the same thing as Gatorade. Pretty much does the same thing, but it's homemade with household usages.
And once I get a number of Frank's episodes on the website for nutrition, I'm going to make a page just for that. So
yeah, that'd be good.
Nance? Is she talking?
It's the computer's working slowly, so I'll go to unmute it and start talking.
I think it was freezing.
It hasn't been muted yet. Okay, so Dustin's asking, Frank, can you how can we make up for old feed here in Hawaii? That's the problem. I bought an all flock last week, and the freshest they had was dated January 28th, 2025.
Frank, before you answer that, let me ask you something.
We're in May. Almost.
Okay, there must be a delay. I don't think she can hear me.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I know he asked me this question before, and I told him to talk to you. I want to ask, and I didn't ask Dustin about this, and I would like to ask him this now, because he's worried about his feed being too old, and I'm wondering if he's seen evidence of that already. So, are the birds acting good? Do they feel good? Are they reproducing? Are they eating well? Are you seeing any evidence that there could be a problem with the feed being older? I'm just curious, because Frank, I'm just asking you this now. If he's seen all those signs and they're acting good, should he worry about it?
No, that's what I was going to actually tell him, because if the food, main thing is it showing any signs of mold.
Yeah.
Are the chickens not eating it? Because even though you can't see the mold on the feed or just the little microorganisms that get on it with age, if they're eating it good, then that tells you right there that it's still basically good. Now, because it's got the date on there, that's a recommended date. It doesn't mean that the food has gone bad by that date. Just like some foods we get, it could be a month over, but the food still be actually good and good quality to eat. So I was just wanting same thing as Kenny. Are you seeing any signs of it aging, like mold, or is it real crumbly? Is it having a lot of dust in it? Or are the chickens not eating it that good?
How are your birds looking, acting, and feeling? That's what I want to know.
Because that Nutrena All-Flock, it's a great feed. It's terrific. Probably the best that you can buy in the stores right now.
I think so too. Yeah.
But the thing, it don't have a lot where it's got the oils and the ingredients, the soybean that it's got in it. It doesn't have a long shelf life. That's the only problem with it, really.
Now smell it. Take it and smell it. And if it's because it's a very odorous, really good, nice smelling feed, actually.
That oregano.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you smell it and you're not smelling that oregano coming through, then I would say, okay, maybe you got an issue. But I'm really curious to see what he says. How are the birds acting, looking, and feeling? And how's your reproduction? Are you getting healthy chicks that are growing, developing properly? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. And just get with me. We can work something out with you on that. I think I've got a few things that can actually help you with that if the feed is a little on the O side. So get with me inside the Breeders' Academy and we'll set something up. And I think I can help you out with that.
Dustin, make sure to contact him inside the Breeders' Academy. That's where he's answering most of those questions. Okay, anything else?
Kenny, could it be the date that the bag of feed was processed?
Well, like Frank said, it's a recommended.
Yeah.
So we don't know when the feed was made. I mean, obviously, the sooner you get it and feed it to your chickens, the better. But some people just don't have it. And he does say it's a little dusty and it's lost maybe some of its strength as far as how it smells. But again, I'm going to ask him, how do your birds act, look, and feel? You know, that's what I want to know.
That's a lot of it right
there. Good muscle. Are they really active? Are they sickly? Are they reproducing themselves properly? Those are the kind of things I want to know, because chances are you might have to do anything, because he's worried. He's wondering if he should add supplement to it to make it better.
Yeah.
I don't think so either.
Now, if the feed's bad or stale or what have it, that's really not good. It's still what it is. Adding stuff to it. Now, if your birds is not doing that good on it, yeah, maybe. But if your birds is doing, like Kenny said, if your birds is doing good on it, I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay, the next question is from Derek, and it's actually for Frank, and it's on a particular type of poultry supplement. Is that something that you want him to ask you inside the Breeders' Academy?
Yeah, ask him inside the Breeders' Academy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Here's the next one.
Nancy's having an issue.
It says, so Frank, how much is your feed protein in the breeding season? Breeding season, I use about 18 and a quarter, 18 and a half is usually what I use. And they do really good on that. I just don't like going crazy with, some people, they'll go up to 21%. I just think that's a bit too much.
I do too.
Yeah. The higher the protein, the higher it is on the kidneys, the liver, what have you. So I like keeping it, around 18% is really good. I have really good success with that particular one right there. But I use more fat. A lot of your bagged feeds doesn't have a lot of fat in it, so I'll use a little oil to get that fat up there. A lot of your, like the All-Flock, I think it's like 2.5%, so it doesn't have a lot in it. So you can use a little bit of the feed oil, soybean, or olive oil to get a little bit more fat in it. But 18% is usually a sweet spot for that.
Yep. Anything else, Nance? Is she there?
I think she's froze up.
Did we lose her?
She's froze.
Okay. I guess we'll wrap it up. Let me see if she has what she has starred here.
She had been doing that for the last little bit.
It's just her. It's not me too.
No, it's just her.
Okay.
That's the odd part about it. You both on the same system, and she's freezing up.
I don't think it's the internet this time. I think it may be her computer. I may have to borrow Tawny's.
Yeah, it couldn't be the internet because
Well,
both of
it
you
would
would be
be me
doing it.
too. Yeah.
Right.
So, although I'm on. How do you say it? I'm plugged in where she's Wi-Fi. It could be the internet. Could be, but it could be her computer too.
Yeah, she's back now.
She's back now. We have to put up with her. Okay.
It's the internet. I'm seeing the bars going down to like 1. I'm cycling.
It must be drowning you out, Kenny.
I'm plugged in, so I shouldn't have an issue on her at all. I may have to buy her a computer. I just bought Tawny a computer. Yeah, yay! Okay, I think this is the last question, Frank. So let's answer this and we'll get out. Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, Derek says that they're acting and doing just fine, but he wants to do the best for his chicken. So
yeah, and I understand that. I understand that, but you don't want to overdo it too. A little bit of something is good. Too much can be bad. So if they're doing good, leave it at that. Don't really push it.
Just keep an eye on it.
Frank, I've lost count how many people have said they've used supplements and they're having issues.
They're good to use until you can get your feed situated.
I agree.
But to constantly use them is you're asking for trouble.
Yep. Okay, this is the last one.
The last one. Okay, Mr. Frank, another one for Mr. Frank. I remember you saying that there's a benefit to oregano. Is it better fresh or in the oil form?
Most of it is in oil form. They've got a couple out there. I think Tractor Supply sells a oregano mix that's in a powder that you buy in those little packs and you put it in the water. Oregano is a natural anti-inflammatory. It can rid out a lot of diseases, boost the immune system. It's great for chickens. That's the reason All Flock puts it in their pellets. You open that up, that's the first thing you smell, isn't it, Kenny?
I love it.
Oregano oil in there.
Great, yeah.
It's just a great smell. It's great for chickens. Now, if you buy it in the pure form, be very, very careful. It's very, very, very strong if you buy it in the pure. So like 1 drop per gallon, if it's the pure oil, don't use any more than that. But I've got one that I've used for many years now. I don't know where I could post it at for you. If you want to try to reach out to me inside the Breeders' Academy, Sean, I'll get you a pic of it. It's really good. I've used it for maybe the past 8 to 10 years, and 1 bottle will go for a long, long ways. And it's got oregano, cinnamon, and a little bit of acrylic acid in it, and you can even give it to your baby chicks right out of the egg. So it's great. It's great all the way around for your chicks. A lot of people wants to know, well, how are they still raising chickens, these hatcheries and the meat and egg industry, when they took all the antibiotics away from them? Well, you've got your answer, oregano. A lot of these big factories, that's what they use to keep the birds healthy and use for medicines to ward off the diseases, what have you. So,
yep. Okay. Anything you guys want to say before we wrap it up?
Dustin says, Frank, he's messaged you inside the academy, so look forward to that. Guys, don't forget, those of you that are not Breeders' Academy members yet, please join on May 6th. You get in for $1 for the first month. You're going to be elated at how much that is inside the Breeders' Academy and how much you can learn from inside the Breeders' Academy. So this is a promotion that we're doing for Mother's Day. The website will be open for this particular sale promotion. Only for 6 days. It ends on May 12th. So you've got midnight. Yeah. So you have 7 days, guys. So in 4 days, you can get in for $1.
Yep. And just so you know, we don't usually set up coaching calls. When you join, we usually have you check out the website, spend some time checking things out, learning before we do a coaching call. So you kind of need to be in there for a month before we do the first coaching call, which usually not a problem anyways, because that's how long it takes for me to get usually we're right at 3 weeks now. When you sign up for a coaching call, that's when I got them booked up to 3 weeks usually.
That's about me. About 3 weeks, 3 weeks to a month, somewhere in that area.
Yeah. So usually that's the case anyways.
Okay. And one thing I want to add for the new members, don't overdo it, guys. Trust me, don't overdo it. A little bit at a time. Just don't get overwhelmed with it. And it's easy. It's easy done. There's so much in there. I remember the first time I went in, I was just like a frog, jump here, jump there, jump there. I couldn't finish an article because I'd find something that I wanted to read even better. So just pace yourself, take a time, go to the start here buttons. Those are very, very helpful. So give those a try.
And any questions you may have, just write them down. And a lot of times we'll answer that question inside the website as you're going. And if we don't, then when we do a coaching call, we can answer them then. Whatever you can't find the answers to, then we'll talk about. So, okay. Anything, Nancy? Is that it?
So we look forward to seeing you inside there.
Okay.
That is all.
Thank Nancy for being here because she's sick as a dog. I kind of pressured her to be here because I thought it was important to help me with the cell. And I tried to give her a little time off, but she snuck her way into the show anyways. But as far as the topic, Frank, I want to thank you for joining me and letting you guys know we have a good show for next week. It's with Sue Dobson. So we're going to have one of our members come on and we're going to talk to her about her birds.
Yeah, I've been pushed her to, you need to get a hold of Kenny and get that set up. You know?
Oh, no, we've had it set up for a while. I just, with everything going on, I finally said, okay, let's book this thing before, we push it off too far. So I gave her a date and she says she's good with it. So that should that is next week. Yeah. That'll be a good show.
Sue's great.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you guys for coming. Thank you for the comments and the questions inside the comment boxes. No one else to call it. You guys do really shape the show and it helps out. Keeps the conversation going. So we'll see you guys next week. Thanks a lot.
See you guys.
Take care.